Welcome, everybody, to the Huber Rebels podcast. My name is Jordan.
And my name is Ethan.
And how's your week been?
It's over.
I love that. That's my favorite time in the week when it's over.
Yeah, but that just means the next week is coming soon.
What's your least favorite day?
Ooh, we could do a whole podcast about this.
Give me
Let's
give me a
rank the
give me a
days.
short one. We don't have to
So I
rank the
have
days.
I have like it's objectively been confirmed that Tuesday's the worst day.
Mm.
But I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that.
Let me ask you a different question. Do you hate
Yeah.
Mondays?
No, I love Mondays because
I
I get to
like
go back to work.
Mondays.
I mean, I was joking. We joke about that at work.
No, I like Mondays. I mean, not
Um,
because I go back to work, but there's something about Mondays that just feels nice to me.
I like Mondays because it's like the start of something new.
Yeah,
And based on every ranking I've ever done of anything, I like first things of things.
sure.
So like all the first Star Wars movies because it's like there's so much promise in the week that hasn't been squandered yet.
Right.
So for that reason, Mondays are great. They're
And
optimistic.
I feel like I dislike Thursday the most for some reason. It's just Tuesday and Thursday. I don't really like.
Yeah. The more and more I don't like Wednesdays though.
Yeah,
Because it's like, what are we? Are we in the
it's
first
right in
half
the
or are we in the
middle.
second half?
Right.
What is this? What even is this day?
Everyone loves Hump Day, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I think Wednesday might be my least favorite day. Like confidently.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something
You
about
know,
being stuck in the middle of the week is not good. Monday is nice cuz like you said, it's the start, Friday it's over, but Wednesday sucks.
one of my favorite isms, and I'm so happy I get to say this because it just again reinforces how much Wednesdays suck. Monday, one day. Tuesday, 2 day. Wednesday, when? Huh? What day? Exactly. Thursday, the third day. That is a famous quote from Joey Tribbiani of Friends. But it just informs. Yeah, Wednesday, when? What day? What is this?
You know what's funny? I'm pretty sure you have said that on this podcast before.
I'm sure many times
I
I
love
say
that.
that often. I need a shirt that says that.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
wonder
there
if
is
they have
one.
that shirt.
I'm sure there
Yeah.
is one. Let me
Your
look for it.
shirt,
I'll
there
get
is
that
one.
for you someday. I'm
Oh
sure
my
there
God.
is one.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to bring something up that is actually rather relevant to something you sent me today, which was those awesome Optimus Prime Megatron toys that
I want
not
to talk about
only
those.
transform, let's talk about them, and I'll see if I can pull up the video and then we'll talk about this thing. Not only do they transform, but they talk to each other and like interact with each other and shoot each other. Um,
How much do you
talk about
know
them while I
about
try
them?
and bring up a nothing.
Okay. Well, let me immediately like kill any dream you ever had of having them. The cost of that interaction is like $3,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Why?
they are very expensive.
They
Like
don't look that
very
expensive.
expensive because they look like toys.
They very much look like toys. Yeah.
But the amount of like motors and like everything, those things are like well over $1,000 each.
Uh,
Optimus came out years ago,
okay.
and it is the perfect toy. Like if you took money out of it, right? It is like that thing should be $100 or $200.
Right.
I don't know if it ever, but it has a brain. It has I don't really know like all the cost behind it. I'm assuming it has high quality like materials. It's got a ton of motors and hinges, and it can like literally on its own transform into a truck and then like drive away. And you can control it with like a phone and all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, they just came out with Megatron, and same thing. It's
Do you
over
know who makes
$1,000.
these?
Hasbro. They're official.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, no, these are like the most official Transformers ever made.
Wow.
And I saw this posted and I'm like, are you kidding me? Now you can take your super expensive Optimus and your super expensive Megatron and just watch them fight each other and like argue and create a whole. And I'm like, I'm happy this exists. No kid should have this. No. What were those cartoons? Richie Rich, right? Or what?
Yeah.
Is Archie Rich?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Whoever the like super rich kids in like the cartoons and comics and all of that, they would have these toys, and it would just be like a toy.
Oh, there was that show where there was that kid who had all the stuff, and then he always had those toys, and he had like the tree house, and I forget what that show was, and he like got kidnapped or something.
Whatever it is,
There
you
was
kind
that
of know,
movie,
right?
yeah.
The rich kid that has every toy and doesn't really
Yeah,
care about them, he would have these, and
yeah.
you would go over to his house and be like, "That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I want that." And then you go home and your parents are like, "Are you kidding me? Do you realize how expensive they are?"
I can't
So
find the video of it. I have it on my phone. I'll post it in the description if you guys want to see it. But yeah, like they obviously talk to each other via like Bluetooth or whatever and like have a conversation, but then they would like point their guns and shoot, and then they would kneel down and like pant, and then they'd like point their cannon and blast, and then it went back and forth. It looked like Megatron was gonna win at one point, and then Megatron fell, and I thought he was gonna transform, and he just plopped over dead. It was
nope,
hilarious.
just shot dead. I know the comments were all like just waiting for Linkin Park to start playing.
Yes.
That was the only
I love that.
thing missing. Um,
Very cool. I
did,
can't believe they're that much money, but
yeah.
I mean, one
Sorry
day
to your turn.
toys. I mean, I'm not gonna buy them, so I'm not upset at all. But one day, the thing, it just doesn't seem that out of reach, honestly, for that to be a kid's toy, to me. I understand there's a
How's not?
lot of mechanics in there for it to
Yeah,
transform like that, but that seems like something that a lot of kids could have, if not soon. You know?
definitely the future. I go back and forth because it feels like that, but then you think about it, and I think that's what's like confusing about it. Because on the surface, it just like, yeah, that's a toy. Why not? Did we ever have anything remotely close to? I mean, that was like an AI robot having a fight with a
I mean,
lot of joints of articulation, all without us touching it. Like
sure.
I I played with Transformers as a kid. I had a friend who had a bunch. Like, sure, they could move. They were cheap plastic. They maybe had a button that made a sound. Like, your imagination is what made that happen.
Yeah. A kid's probably gonna break this thing really quickly. It's an adult. I almost said it's an adult toy, and that would be incorrect, but you know, it it's something for
It's the title of this podcast.
the big kids to play with.
It's an adult toy for the big kids. Yes.
Yikes. Well, a really, really big adult toy for the big kids to play with. I don't know if you saw this thing. Uh, the Gundam factory in Yokohama, Japan.
Is it still open?
Look it up. I think it just closed, unfortunately.
That's what I remember hearing.
But
Yes, I know.
it
And we didn't
looks
go.
freaking incredible. It's like 5 stories tall. I'm not, I don't know much about Gundams really. Like, I don't know what that even is, if that's like a show or like a
It's
comic
an
or,
anime.
yeah. I don't know anything about it, but it looks really cool. I mean, it's very much in
Mechs.
line with Transformers and
Mechs.
uh,
It's
yeah,
people getting
the
inside giant
I was gonna say, look, it's like
fighting
the
mech suits.
Megazord of like Power Rangers. Like it has all those kind of like vibes and stuff. But the colors are awesome. But they
Yeah.
had this life size one in Japan with this cool like kind of scaffolded structure built around it. Did have you looked? Have you seen it? Are you looking at it?
Oh, I'm very aware of it. Yeah, I'm kind of
Okay,
mad
you
we
saw
didn't
it.
go
Yeah.
to see it. And it moves and it like comes out and everything. And I
Yeah,
remember
and
when
he
they said that
talks.
they were going to close it.
It's basically these toys, but life size that we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't really understand why. it's closing unless they're
I,
gonna make a better one.
I mean, it looks very involved. Like I don't. It seems like a pain in the ass to have to then tear down and take somewhere else. I don't know. Is this something that you want to tour with and introduce to a new audience? But uh, yeah, I heard
Maybe
about
they're
this
gonna
on a
make a real one.
podcast. Make a real Gundam.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
imagine something that scale that could like fly around.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Like somebody could just take over the world potentially. I mean, I guess we could shoot it down probably.
Yeah, until it shoots back.
Life-size Transformers. Do they have any of those at Universal Hollywood?
No. Life size?
Like large scale. It's all just screens, right? They don't have like animatronic Transformers. I think they have
Uh,
people in costumes sometimes.
there's a guy that walks around in an Optimus Prime costume, but he's like, I don't know, 10 feet tall. So,
But also it's a person.
yeah.
Different.
No Transformer should be that small, you know? So,
Yeah.
now, if they had something like this built behind the building where the Transformers ride is, and it looks like Optimus is always just kind of like chilling there looking over, that would be awesome.
Have you seen what they have? I want to say it's in Singapore
What?
or Beijing for Transformers. So I went down
Mm,
an International Universal Studios rabbit hole.
let's not go too far down the Universal Studios rabbit hole because that might be a topic for like next week because I am obsessed. But let's cover this. Yes.
Okay. Because
I am
I was going to say something else that I
obsessed with
saw.
what Universal is doing. But let's just talk about Transformers for right now.
Also in Beijing, maybe also Jurassic Park. I'm only
No,
going to
much
tease.
closer, much closer.
Florida?
I actually haven't even looked worldwide. I've only looked in this country's Universals, but I would like
I went
to.
down a rabbit hole with Singapore
Yeah,
and then Beijing, and I found all these other rides that they have that are like impressive. But
Transformers
they have,
Metro Base.
I think they have like it's like Bumblebee or something, and it's like straight up robot. It looks very cool.
Wow. Um, yeah, we'll talk about. Actually, I'm just gonna spoil it. Probably by the time you're hearing this, we've already talked about Universal, so that's just that's just the way it is. But actually, who knows? This I don't know when this will post, but yeah, I would like to talk about Universal next week because they're doing some cool stuff.
So it's either next week or in the past, depending on when this posts. But at some
Yes.
point, we are going to be talking about Universal. So if we already have, refer to that episode, and if not, stay tuned.
Yeah, I'll try and link them somehow, but it might be difficult. Um, the topic for this episode that I wanted to bring up because I think about it a lot and it kind of got rejuvenated with Fallout coming out. I want to talk about aesthetics
Mm,
and what kind of aesthetics you like and what you define yourself as and tell me what Maya likes and like what I don't know what tickles those itches in your brain of like just tell me about it. What kind of aesthetics do you like? Or I can start if you'd like. I have a few.
yeah, go ahead, kick us off.
Um, one very easy one that I can point to that is not something I want to like live in terms of like
Okay.
my house. I definitely would maybe like to theme, a gaming room after this sometime, but like synthwave obviously is very cool. Like all the
Ooh,
neon, the kind of cyberpunky stuff. I like all of that.
RGB.
Rainy, dark cities, very RGB for sure. Uh what's the movie with Harrison Ford and Ryan
Blade
Gosling?
Runner.
Blade Runner, kind of Blade Runner. Blade Runner is very dark, but there's
Neo Tokyo.
also there's levels to all of it as well. I'm very much more the kind of like happier, upbeat. Love synthwave music. Yeah, I became obsessed with this in like the last 3 or 4 years. Again, not something I would want my house to be decorated like,
Yeah.
but um, very cool. Like, I wanted to talk about this because I feel like people are coded with like an aesthetic that is not unique to them, but like this is what works for you. This is what clicks with you and what you resonate with. And I don't think you necessarily know what that is even right away. Like I just discovered this somewhat recently in my life. You know, you go through your whole childhood. I don't think you know what that would be until you start thinking about what do I want to how do I want to design my house later in life, you know? And then you kind of start tapping into things when you see them around the world. Um, so I don't know. I find aesthetics fascinating. I have more, but
No,
give me one
I
if you have one.
I I like that ambiance is very important to me, and
Yeah.
like being comfortable in a space and it like making sense and not clashing. Uh, Interestingly enough, I'll kick it off with mid-century modern. Does that count?
Yes. Yep.
Like mid-century aesthetics, like clean lines, but not too minimalist. But I don't even have all the right words to describe it, but I love that aesthetic.
It's
Um,
very 70s but not dated, which
50s.
or well, it has like 70s kind of like shapes, I feel like. But maybe that just lingered from the 50s into the 70s. That's like
Yeah.
one thing that like kind of lasted. Um
70s is slightly different,
yeah.
but
I know there's aspects of it that give me like
yeah.
70s vibes, but no, I agree. I think this is the one that like Taylor and I will model our house after. Like this is the one that I think is a perfect kind of pairing of the two of us.
Yeah, and it's the other thing with aesthetics, it's hard to because you don't want to like overdo it because then you feel like you're like in a showroom, so you gotta like mix it a little bit. But that
Right.
I like Maya and I easily could have bought everything that is like that style,
Yeah.
um, which is I guess what people used to do. Like
Yeah.
they just lived in one style. And honestly, to be fair, that's what people do now too. They just go to the store and just buy a whole matching set.
Well, yeah,
But
how
my
many
mom,
people
who's
do you
like
think sorry, finish.
No, I was just gonna say my mom, who's obsessed with interior design, drilled it into my head like you can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to like mix up materials and mix up colors. Not too much because then you get chaos, but um, matchy matchy can look weird too.
For sure.
What were you gonna
Um
say?
I was gonna say, how many people do you think go to IKEA and like just find the room that they like and then just like buy the whole thing? Although that's not what you're talking about. That is, I think they do a good job of maybe mixing materials and vibes and stuff for like this room, but like it's just a pull this
No,
room out and install it in my house.
it's funny you say that because we ended up with so much IKEA furniture, but it's not. I mean, you can give your opinion when you come, but uh, it's not super noticeable. And it's like I'm trying to think. Like so, in here we have one, two, three, like four things that are IKEA.
Yeah.
Our closet's IKEA, and our shoe racks. But you can't see it all at the same time.
Right. And also, you didn't buy the IKEA curtains and the IKEA
Yeah.
plant and the IKEA weird dog statue and like all of that stuff. Like, that's what I wonder if there's
Yes.
anyone who just says one copy of that room, please, and takes the whole thing.
Apparently, this is the Friends episode, so there is an episode of Friends. Shout out my old favorite show, maybe still my favorite show. I don't know what my favorite show is now. But there's an episode where Rachel is living with Phoebe. Do you even know who all these people are?
Of
Have you
course.
seen enough Friends? Okay.
I've seen
I
half of
can't.
it.
Okay. I've met so many people lately like that haven't seen it that I can't keep track. There's an episode where Rachel's living with Phoebe, and Phoebe's obsessed with one of a kind things.
Okay.
So nothing bought from like a big box store. Well, Rachel found this apothecary table, which is like a medicine table, I guess, like coffee table,
Yeah.
and bought it. And she was so excited. And then I think like Monica or something is like, you can't tell Phoebe that. Like she only likes one of a kind things. So she tells her that it's from a thrift store. Um, and then it goes on and like Ross buys the exact same
Oh my
table
God.
from Pottery Barn, which is like exactly her point, is like everybody ends up with the same stuff.
Yeah.
And then she ends up pitching it that the Pottery Barn ripped off the antique apothecary table. But okay. And moral of the story is that little by little, she keeps adding more and more pieces from Pottery Barn into their apartment, but pitching it as it's all this stuff from the thrift market until they're on the street and they walk by a Pottery Barn and they're like, "Oh my God, they ripped that off!" And they ripped. And Phoebe's like noticing, and she's like, "Wait, that's our living room." Like the display in the window is their exact living room. So
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
made me
talking
think
about.
of.
That's hilarious. I
Yeah,
love that. That's so funny.
because yeah, that's not fun.
No, you gotta pull, c- travel, find things you like, a nice vase, a nice pillow, a nice rug from different places, and then, compile it all if hopefully they look well together, or if they, even if they don't, make it
And if
yours.
not, you get rid of them and you get new stuff.
Exactly.
That's where I'm at now.
Um, yeah, mid-century modern, I dig that. Taylor really likes, she's much more 70s than I am. 80s is
Okay.
my decade, like that I
Ooh,
love.
ooh,
I love the whole,
okay.
what?
80s was risky.
Why?
70s is a little risky too. There was some
Not so,
question. I know. I just like. I know not exactly. I know exactly what you mean in terms of like the vibes.
I mean, we can say that about almost any decade if we want. Like,
Some have been better than others.
yeah, there's been bad stuff in all of them though. All right, whatever. I'm just saying, like, I love the music. I love the neon lights and every lot of, not everything, a lot of things about the 80s.
Yes.
But yeah, I think mid-century modern is the perfect kind of sweet spot for us. But she really likes those like step down dens that they used to have in like the 70s. Do you know what I mean? Where like the living room you had to like step down and then there was just like pillows like instead of couches and stuff.
Oh well, we don't have pillows, but like that's how my grandpa designed the den was
Yeah,
as a step down
true.
into a miniature version of that. But I didn't even like realize that until like I was older, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I guess it is, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, but I just want to add because I didn't live here I've seen some pictures of how it was back in the day. And again, how some people did it is not evocative of how everybody did it or how like the like nice designs of the decades were. Like
Right.
yes, there was crap in every era, but they had like thick red shag carpet. This is from the 70s
Yeah.
with like wood paneling walls and stuff. And it's like that was even bad for the time, which I just think is funny.
Another thing I love about the 80s is like all of the aerobic era, all the
Yes.
like spandex and the neon colored tights, and the dancing was incredible, and the music and the laser shows. Dude, disco, oh my god.
Yeah.
That is that 80s? That's 70s maybe. Like
70s going into
roller
80s
derbies
though.
is what I meant to say. Roller derbies.
Yeah.
God, I wish I could have been alive during that era. But yeah, aerobics are like my obsession. There's a show on Apple called Physical, and it's all about like the aerobics era.
Yes.
Rose Byrne. Have you seen any of that show, or are you familiar
I
with it?
remember it being I remember it being previewed, yeah.
It's interesting. It's pretty good. Um,
Who am I thinking of? Phil Simmons? Gene? No.
yeah, Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons. There it is.
Love Richard Simmons. I've always been obsessed with him. Even since he was a kid, or since I was a kid, and his commercials were on TV, I was obsessed with that guy for some reason. And now, like that, I have discovered this like aerobics era. I'm like, oh my god, like yeah, that is so my jam. But they're trying to make a Richard Simmons movie, I think, and it's not going well.
Oh, it's
I
not?
forget I
Oh,
forget who's involved in it.
is he still alive?
He's still alive, and he like disappeared. He just wants to be left alone, I think.
Yes, I remember that. That's crazy. Well, I mean, yeah, that's why Vice City is so beloved. The 80s are so iconic.
Yeah.
Like, they're such an aesthetic. They're such a vibe. I love neon too. I like, and I feel like neon is like nearly dead. It's pretty expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
Um, but there's just something about that glow that I just nothing else can match. I want neon.
I'm surprised they can't like, you know, I'm sure they can, but why can't you have like a synthesized neon light? You know, it doesn't actually have to be
Physics.
pure, neon, which is expensive, but they can't replicate that glow.
I guess not. I'm sure we could look into. I'm sure it's science, chemistry, light diffusion, all that
It
kind of
is
stuff.
literally chemistry, right? Like it's chemicals in there, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
the other place I think of, well, neon, Vegas, but also I guess Hong Kong. Hong Kong had a lot of neon,
Yeah.
um, and they've just been removing it or removing it.
Really? That's so sad.
Yeah. Now we just have LEDs.
It's better than fluorescent lights, which is kind of also like just white
I hate.
neon, right?
Is it?
I feel like it is because it's like the same kind of tubing, but
I don't know if I told you about this, and if it's still open, we should go because we went for somebody's birthday to an 80s bar in Koreatown,
okay.
and it's has like a hidden entrance. So
Oh, I
it's
love
like
that.
you really get transported and the door closes behind you, and for that night it felt like I was in the 80s. Like I had to kind of like let myself believe it. Like cuz obviously you're not, but it
Yeah.
was like the closest to living a moment in the 80s. And if it's still there because this was before COVID, we have to do that.
I have to go to that. That sounds amazing.
Like they had arcade machines, and like Maya and I were like playing the arcade at one point, and they had like a photo booth and stuff. Like, and I'm upset that I haven't been back because
Yeah.
it's more places should do that to like recreate the vibe.
That's so cool.
So
My
prepare
new,
yourself.
not new. I know I've liked this kind of look for a little while now, but it has been resparked by Fallout. But like retrofuturism is maybe my favorite. All of the like, it's clean, like steampunky. It's like it's very 40s, 50s, but with all of the future tech. Like the holograms and the flying cars and like the Jetsons, basically. What do you want to say?
This was gonna be my next one. I
What
know what
is
it's
it?
called
Yeah.
too. It
What?
has a name.
It
Googie.
okay. Googie?
Have you heard that? Yeah.
No.
So it's I don't know if it's like 100%, but it's like the LAX theme building. When you said Jetsons, that's when I was like, yes.
Googie. Is it like oh, okay. Hold on. I'm finding it.
Like like Googie.
Is that like the Guggenheim? What is
No,
that something
that's a
related? What is
person.
that?
That's just a person.
But is he like the designer? Is he like an architect?
No, I don't think so. LA has a lot of Googie architecture, like the old like diners and
Interesting.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
like
seeing a
retro
lot of
future space age.
I'm seeing a lot of that restaurant at LAX too.
Yes. That's like the most iconic building.
The
So
one,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I didn't want to hijack that one. That got me excited.
Well, yes, this, but
A little
what I
different.
like is something that actually
Yeah.
can't be like accessed because it is like living in the past with that futuristic stuff. But I
Yes.
kind of more like the artwork of that. Like I definitely want, paintings or pictures of that kind of stuff in my house. Damn, I was gonna say something about that, but I completely forgot.
I didn't. I honestly, I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna have much to say on this, but not, my mind is just like racing on like
Yeah,
different aesthetics. We're
yeah,
like old enough that we've experienced enough of these.
for sure. If you like what we do, we'd really appreciate if you'd consider supporting us on Patreon. Now more than ever, small independent teams need all the help they can get, and we'd love to have you join the rebellion.
Joining us on Patreon can get you a wide array of perks, starting with our 1-star tier. Joining this tier will get you voting rights for Movie Madness, our weekly journey through an actor's entire filmography.
Our 2-star tier will give you extended episodes of the Hebrew Rebels podcast, Game Chat Tonight, and Movie Madness, both ad-free and a day early. Plus, you can write into those shows for a chance to have your questions and comments read on the podcast.
The 3-star tier delivers the most value with our Patreon exclusive shows. You will get a monthly episode of Crossword Struggle and Climbing the Ranks. And we have more exclusive shows planned to add even more value to this tier.
Next, as a 4-star rebel, your name will be listed in an on-screen shoutout on each of our weekly scheduled shows.
Finally, you can be one of only 24 people to be considered a Founding Rebel. You will receive a limited edition Founding Rebel t-shirt. Your name will be read on each of our shows as a Founding Rebel, and you will forever be remembered as one of the very few people to truly help start the rebellion.
Visit patreon.com/HebreWrebels for more information. Thank you so much for your support, and back to the show. Are there any that you don't like?
Oh.
I'm sure there's plenty, probably.
I don't even know at this point. Because it's like you can find good and bad in like everything. Like good design is good design.
For sure.
To be honest, my background kind of weird. Not a huge fan. A little too
Yeah,
weird.
that's like vaporwave, I think.
Yes. Which
Yeah,
I don't love.
I don't love either.
I mean,
It's
your background, I guess.
it's very like 90s PC. That's all like vaporwave kind of stuff. And I don't know why I don't like that, but they always have like the pictures of like the statues, like the busts of the statues for some reason, and like metal
Yes.
balls and eyes like you see behind you. Yeah, it's I don't know why that's all part of the same thing.
I So like 90s, yeah, like that, I'm not a huge fan of. Although there's like other 90s design that I am a huge fan of, like the more colorful stuff, even though it was so bad for a while. The cup that I can't think of what it's called right now.
Yeah,
It has a name.
I know it. I know
Jazz.
it.
Jazz
Yeah,
cup.
jazz, yeah.
It's gonna get it. So the Jazz cup. There's one I actually learned about recently and watched way too long of a video about it.
What?
And I want to say it's called Arrow. Like AERO.
Okay.
See if something comes up for that. It's basically Windows XP.
Interesting. I'm not finding
And it was like this whole era of in the early 2000s. It's very colorful and like it's like a certain take on the
Oh.
future. I was like,
Oh yeah. I see it.
is that what it was called? Is it Arrow?
Totally. It's like all green and blue. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
It does something to my soul. And I don't know how to describe it.
See what I mean? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these
Yeah.
aesthetics just like hit you right in the center of you,
Uh-huh.
and I love that.
And I want to be enveloped in it, but I
Yeah.
can't. Like it's not possible. Like
Yes.
think like Windows Media Player visualizer on like Windows XP and
Yeah.
like I don't even fully know how to describe it. Like I said, I watched this like 30-minute video of somebody like talking about it and like what it meant and the history of it and all this stuff. It was before like everything just became like minimalist and clean and just like block.
Right. Very bubbly and bouncy and
I could talk about this for hours. I just realized this is
No,
this is
that's great.
fascinating.
I have
Um,
one that I love that I cannot put my finger on. I don't know what it's
Okay.
called, and I'm gonna try to describe it to you.
Okay.
This is another one that is like I want to be enveloped in, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it is something.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
kind of piecemeal to my mind, but like it's 90s. It's like a beachfront with like apartment buildings, kind of a little
Mm-hmm.
mini skyline, but not too big. Think like
Okay.
Miami-ish, but it's Japan.
Okay.
It's like exclusively Japan beachfront apartments. We got some rain and like kind of upbeat jazz music. And I
Okay.
don't know how to put my finger on what it is.
Cartoon?
Yes. Like when I picture it, I do picture a painting or a cartoon kind of a thing. Yeah,
What are the colors?
blue and green kind of as well. Yeah, or definitely blue with the ocean and the sky. Maybe a lot
Okay.
of white as well, actually,
Yeah,
like the
that's
buildings.
I don't know what to call that.
I just want to be there all the time. Like that's where I want to live.
I'm like determined we need to like create this.
It's like smooth jazz. Yeah. There was a movie called Drive My Car from a couple years ago. It was so long.
Okay.
It was nominated for Best Picture, I think, but it was
No way.
Japanese and it like almost got there to what I'm talking about. It was very 90s Japan, rainy. There
I'm
was a
thinking
bit
there
of
must be an
water,
anime
but
or
yeah.
something where you can get to this. That's what I want
Yes.
to like research.
Yeah. But that's another one that kind of sparked this whole topic for me is it's that is always in my mind and I just can never quite
You
put my finger on
there
it.
has
There's
there has to be a lo-fi video with this.
yeah, probably. Oh, lo-fi too is great.
Yeah, and that hits like a lot of different things because you can find very many different vibes on there,
Yeah.
like the synthwave boy or whatever.
Yeah. Dude, remember
Lo-fi
when he
girl,
showed up?
synthwave boy. Yeah, epic moment. They
Well,
just went on like they did a whole lore blast recently too.
really.
Yeah, give them a whole
Lo-fi
story and
girl like
background and
disappeared
everything.
for a day or something, right?
Many days.
Many days.
Yeah, now
Wow.
multiple times.
What was the other time?
Originally, it was when he showed up, and then they just did something else recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, stopped
Do you have any
studying for
others?
some reason. Well, my Mac background is Zelda, but Ghibli, which just makes me think
Mm,
Ghibli.
yeah.
That is one of the best aesthetics that I can
Yeah.
think of. All of those worlds. I mean, the way the food looks and stuff, it's just so hyper realistic. Like it makes life look better than it does, kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it simplifies it and just like pops, everything pops.
I I can give you I actually thought of one that I do not like. And this does not make sense.
Yes.
It does not line up with everything that I've said so far, but I've
Okay.
never been a fan of Miami. For something about Miami just rubs me the wrong way. I know they got it has a great like 80s history. It's very neon. It's very pink, which I love, but there's something about the sunsets in Miami and it just like I hate Miami at like dusk and like they're kind of pinky orange tealish just hues everywhere. I don't know why I don't like
This
it.
is fascinating
I
to me.
should love it, but I don't. And I can't put my like I don't get it.
Is it because it's Florida?
Perhaps because I just said that whole I'm like think Miami but it's Japan. So like maybe I just don't want it to be Florida. I don't think so though. I
Right?
mean
Like
all I want to do right now more than anything is go to Florida and go to freaking Universal World, but uh
Epic Universe?
maybe that's part of it. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll go there eventually. Um, well, GTA 6 is going to be very interesting then.
Yes,
I think
I
that
know.
will. No,
Break
but
me.
or you'll really know why.
Yeah. I think I'll be fine. Like it's not gonna bother me. I think there might be just some movies that I don't like that took place in this exact kind of look that I'm talking about that I don't like. Um,
I don't disagree with you.
yeah,
I don't eat that up. I have no desire to be there. Maybe that's the way to put it.
because
I'm
if you
not like,
think
oh, I want to be there. Like maybe even if it looks nice, it's not where I want to be.
if I think of like the kind of West Coast equivalent with like Venice Beach and our palm trees and our sunsets and Sunset Boulevard and all that stuff, I love that. I think that's great. But there's
Interesting.
just a like hue and fogginess of Miami that I dislike. No offense to any people from Miami that may be listening, or I,
Yeah, this
I'm sure
is
it's a lovely
purely based
city.
on aesthetics.
I've been there actually, and that was a weird moment.
Interestingly, an aesthetic I don't like, steampunk.
Really?
I don't hate it. It just always made me feel like, but see, I say that, and then I'm like, I go back and forth. But like,
It's not one that I like subscribe to, but I think there's very cool aspects to it.
I even get weird with like Victorian, like England type stuff. And
Okay.
it's usually like that, but like modernized.
Yeah.
And it's something to do with that. But if I think of like airships, I love airships.
Love airships.
Um, and it's confusing because you can't quite put your finger on it.
What is BioShock Infinite? That's not steampunk, is it?
But that's what I'm thinking of. Like I think it is. There's giant like Victorian robots and
But
stuff.
it's very clean steampunk, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very
Yeah, and
polished
steampunk's
and
usually like dirty. I don't
yeah.
like that.
I think of like, coal factories and stuff. I
Hmm.
don't know.
That's what I don't like. Even though, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
It's
history.
almost these aesthetics almost are like AI generated in my brain, where it's like there's certain little tendrils that you can like kind of put your finger on, but there's not
Dude,
an exact science to it, you know?
that's how you make the thing that you described to me.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's
Damn, I
what you
wish I
need to do and keep
wait.
editing it. Well, no, you can edit it for the thumbnail and keep and see if you can pull that off.
Okay, I'll try to do that. Yeah. I think I
And
have
and just
one
keep
in Discord. What's the one? Uh,
I don't know.
I forget. Oh, it's right here.
Your
Mid-journey.
Discord
I'll do a
profile
mid-journey.
is oh yeah. Yeah, and just keep prompting it to tweak it and I don't know that's how ChatGPT works now
Yeah.
to get it see if you can get to that Japan beach aesthetic vibe
Okay.
that's in your head. And
Yeah,
this
I
is the
will do
beauty of
that.
AI.
I love that. Yeah. That's very cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What would you say the aesthetic, and we'll do three. We kind of already touched on one of the 2000s, 2010s,
Oh
and now
boy.
2020s are.
Oh God.
Now, aesthetics are hard because they're not uniform necessarily always for the whole planet, but for the purpose of this, we'll just think of the US and
Yeah.
here. Obviously, that's kind of like what we've been doing in Japan and whatnot. But like, I think for here, for home, for where we've been, how would you describe each of those? I've been
Oh
thinking about it.
man.
It's tricky.
It's really tricky. I don't know. I'm thinking of the 2000s and I'm like I'm picturing, iPods and the first iPhone. As far as tech goes, what do we have? Baggy clothes?
Yep.
Is that when like the all the NBA guys were just wearing like
Yep.
clothes 10 times bigger than they needed to?
I feel like baggy hip hop. 90s was more like baggy like punk or not punk rock, but like rock grunge.
Yeah.
2000s was more like okay, everybody's dressing hip hop now.
But I can't visualize much of anything for it. Like 90s I see jazz and I see those colorful carpets and laser tag and stuff like that. I don't really, I just visualize tech, honestly, starting in the 2000s. And I don't know if that is an aesthetic. Silicon Valley? Like is that like
I'm for I'm forming one in for my head for the 2000s.
okay.
It's like Fat Farm, puffy skater shoes,
Sure.
iPods,
Right.
round and puffy is
Yeah.
kind of how I and slightly futuristic, but like where we didn't really have any idea of what. Oh, What is what Maya always is? There's like a Disney Channel show where they're like on a spaceship and they're all wearing like silver and stuff.
Xenon.
Xenon.
Yeah.
That's what Maya always asks me. Like, when is it? When are we going to be dressing like that?
Hell yeah.
That is the 2000s. That is what
Okay.
we thought the future would be like.
Yeah,
That
that's
kind of
good.
stuff.
Yeah.
Britney Spears.
Sure. Again, though, that I feel
Insane.
like it's harder to describe, but
I
yeah,
agree.
I'm better. I can picture it a little bit better.
In the 2010s, I just think of generic.
2010s, I think, is like when we started getting good movies. Like that's when I feel like cinema kind of elevated to the next level. Uh,
What?
what?
That's crazy.
No, I mean, there's always been good movies, but like honestly, like since Iron Man and like Inception, I feel like they stepped their game up, and it's like comedies are better, horror movies are better, action movies are better. Like I feel like they hit a new evolution in the 2010s as far as movies go.
Okay.
Again, not better. There's classic comedies, but they found
No,
a new
that's
way of doing them.
this is a topic for another podcast, I
Yeah.
think, because it's interesting. Because comedy is arguably dead. Comedy movies.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about it, like what? Step Brothers, Super Bad, like
But
all that stuff
and that's what
was
I was
right in that time.
yeah.
Um
And then that's what I was like going on and like, oh, that's it's like it went and then died.
yeah.
Like all in the same like movement.
I know people are going to say the best comedies were like, 30, 40 years ago, and that's valid. I'm not saying that they're better. I just think a lot of genres found a new gear. Whether it was better, I don't know, but like I think some of them for sure were. We don't get Avengers
Yeah.
Endgame in the 2000s or the 90s, like that
I agree.
that
2000s was kind of weak sauce.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Even Disney was like weak sauce. And
yeah,
then they had their next renaissance in the
with
2010s.
with what, like Tangled?
Single.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that was 2010, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, I'm kind of distracting from the fact that I can't put my finger on an aesthetic for it, but
The only thing I can think of is like that's when things really got flat and minimalistic again in terms of like design and graphic design and whatnot. Everything started to
sure.
strip all of its even the iPhone, right? Went from there's it's the word is like something skew where the Notes app looks like a leather notepad
Yes.
and shifted to flat like
Well,
note like that design shift took place.
apps all used to have the like bubble on it too. Remember? It had like
Hmm.
the kind of like half circle at the top to make it look like it was raised. And then that's
Yeah.
not a thing anymore. Every single app just had a single flat muted color behind it now. I keep
Yeah.
seeing things of people comparing brand logos over the past few decades, and Google went from like having these weird crooked letters to just simple, straight, clean letters. Every company is doing that now, just like very
Yeah.
clean fonts and stuff. So yeah, that's a great point. Do we even know 2020s when we're not even in the middle of it yet?
So I'm gonna throw one other component into this, and that's architecture,
Hmm.
because that's something I'm obsessed with. And it seems we're finally leaving the giant glass tower era of just depressing architecture. There was the brutalist era, which was also just not great compared with like Art Deco
Yeah.
of like the 20s and 30s and stuff. And it seems like that's coming back. And there's a few buildings, so we're kind of in a return. I think the 2020s is going to be a little bit more detailed, but still like classy. What's up?
Brutalist. I was not
Yeah,
familiar with this term. Very interesting. It's kind of cool.
yeah.
Did you have a building like this at UCSD?
Our library, Geisel, is I think considered brutalist.
Yeah.
It's more towards that, and that was the building in Inception. They used that for Inception. The
Really?
snow bunker at the end. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, I kind of dig it, but it's also kind of like almost Cold War looking.
I think this is a good, and I'm happy you said that because that was by design. There's a few Twitters that I follow, and they'll post like these threads about how like design has changed, and it very much influences our psychology, like 100%, and they know that, and that's why like designing beautiful spaces matters and can make people affect like mood and stuff, and especially when it comes to designing buildings. I mean, you go to Europe, and these are hundreds of years old, and like the intricacy and the design and like it does something to us.
Yeah.
It inspires us or makes us feel like more alive. Um, and when you get into more like brutalist and simple and boring, like it just feels lifeless and depressing.
Yeah.
Um, Not 100% if something's simple, but like just in terms of like architecture in a city and stuff. I like the mix of everything. So I'm happy we're kind of moving into something that's a little bit more interesting.
I'm trying to look up. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. I was looking up the United Nations building in LA. It doesn't look like what I thought it did, so this is not a good
In LA
example. But
or New
yeah,
York?
LA. Uh, isn't
Oh,
there a UN building in LA? No, this is New York.
yeah.
I thought there was one
That
in
was in
LA.
Euro though. The Twin Towers too fall into that design aesthetic of just block
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and simple.
What is the museum, the up on the hill, the
Getty?
Getty Museum? What is that?
I don't even know what that would be called. Modern,
It
probably.
has. I feel like it has like brutalist kind of features
Probably.
in some places. Yeah.
It's usually like concrete, and I don't know what it's made out of.
Oh, the Getty is a lot of stone, which I like a lot,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
marble even.
hmm
That's a
But
nice
compare that
look.
with like Griffith Observatory,
Yeah,
where it's like intricate design. I feel like in the columns
chiseled.
and all of that. Oh, yes, I love Griffith Observatory.
Yeah.
City Hall, that's one of my favorite buildings.
Mm-hmm. We've never been to the observatory together, have we?
I don't think so. I'm
Interesting.
down. I want to go see everything in LA.
Yeah,
I want to go
me
see
too.
everything in Chicago too. Chicago has gorgeous architecture and old stuff. Did you see the new stadium? Not to like sidetrack that they released for the Bears.
No, no.
Oh, props, bravo, bravo. Absolutely beautiful.
Is it gonna be in the same
So it's
place?
Yeah, so it's currently in Soldier Field next to these
Right.
like old historic columns that sits right in between it. They're gonna rip it out of that, just delete that, leave the original columns, turn that field back into like open fields and recreation like it used to be, and shift this stadium slightly over and build it on top of the parking lot
Okay. This
on the
looks
waterfront.
very cool.
Yeah, $4 billion plan.
Oh my god. Good for them.
Yeah.
Every
Uh,
stadium, everybody deserves an indoor stadium so that they can host a Super Bowl.
there you go.
I think Chicago in February is not a great place for it right now, but
Yeah,
someday.
yeah, because it's open.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say, do you have a favorite city architecture vibe?
Um, oh boy.
Even from the outside, without necessarily going. I know you mentioned Japan.
Um, man, that's tough. It's probably it's got to be somewhere in Europe. Like I don't like too much of the same thing. Like I think of I don't know, somewhere like Prague or wherever they did like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where everything is just the same.
Munich.
Like, is that Munich?
That's Munich.
I don't
I've been
like
there.
when it's all they all just look the same like that. But I like the
Yeah.
looks of some of those buildings, But it's just too much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
man, that's hard. What? Give me one. I'll try and think.
Paris. Not even. It's not
Oh,
even close.
Paris, nice.
So they rebuilt Paris. They like did knock down old Paris that was like all different sized
Mm,
buildings and narrow streets, and it's called like the Howman's Restoration or whatever, and they rebuilt like the entire city. Very uniform though, but the iconic like curved rooftops with the balconies and the whatever and stuff. I love Paris. My favorite
I,
city. I will take you there one day.
yes, please. I would love that. This does look very nice. I don't think I would say this is my favorite, but I like the look of London and all that kind of those kind of buildings. I think it's a very nice looking city. Plus, I've been there, so I'll just use that as like a. I actually saw it with my own eyes, and I'm
Was that on
able
your
to
way or on your way back?
both.
I forgot you did that.
I actually didn't really
That's
see
cool.
any of it on my way. It was I landed, got to my hotel room, passed out so hard that when I woke up, I thought I had slept for like a day and a half and missed
Oh my
my
god.
flight. I didn't. I didn't sleep nearly as long as I thought, but yeah, I didn't get to see
Good
London
feeling.
at first. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, London's really cool. Yeah, but Paris I need to go to definitely.
That's awesome.
I don't think I
Um,
love like Italy that much. I love Italy, but I don't think I like the architecture that much. Not my
go,
vibe.
go. It's
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's beautiful, but like if we're talking in terms of somewhere I would want to spend most of my time, that's not quite my vibe, but it is. I'm sure it's beautiful.
yeah, I'm with you. Like that's not my like go to, but there's it's so Rome is so old. Oh my goodness, it's insane. Like it's crazy.
I like Greek architecture.
Oh yes. Oh, what was I thinking of? I had. Oh no, that was something stupid.
Well, I hope you didn't think this podcast was stupid. We had a lot to talk about aesthetics and architectures and vibes and the looks of things, and it was a fun conversation. Thank you for joining me in that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
If you enjoyed, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We could use your help. We have exclusive shows that we do there on Patreon that you can get if you sign up at different tiers. You have all sorts of perks that you can get if you want to check that out. Please follow our socials. You can go to HuberRebels.com to find those. Check out our shorts and clips that we post on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and share those with your friends if you like them, because it makes us happy to see those view counts go up and the likes go up and all the subscribe numbers going up. Makes us happy. But until next time, I've got nothing else. Where's that?
Florence in Italy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a really cool building in Budapest.
Yes.
Budapest was nice actually.
Yeah, Budapest is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you
Huber
did
Rebels
that
Europe
because
tour coming soon.
oh my god, yeah. Go to Patreon, please. I've got nothing else. My name is Jordan.
And my name is Ethan. We are the Huber Rebels.
Until next time.
Welcome to the rebellion.